there guys, welcome back to ARTFX Studios, and this is bass design video number 2. In the last one I showed you how to create a vowel type bass sound using Operator. And Operator is an FM synth. It's actually Ableton Live's native FM synth. And there are obviously much more complex FM synths to work with. So I'm gonna show you how to do the same kind of thing, but then in FM8. FM8 from itself already looks a lot more complicated than Operator does. And to be quite honest, it is pretty complicated. So I'm gonna start by opening up FM8 with a new preset, a blank preset. The first thing I like to do is turn this value that says 80 right here down below. I'm gonna turn that to 100. Now what that does is when it's set to 80, that means that the volume level of the outputted operator, that's operator F right now, and that volume is going to be 80%. So by putting that at 100, that volume is going to be 100%. By doing that, we now end up with this. Just your standard sine wave sub-bass thing. On the Expert tab right here, I can now go to Ops, which stands for Operators, and I'm gonna turn on Key Sync for all of the operators. What that does is that every time the operator is triggered, it will reset the phase of that particular waveform. So the waveform will basically always start exactly on the same point, and thus every note will sound exactly the same. That's something that's really important when doing sound design, because I don't want my sound to change over time every time I trigger a note. That being said, I can now turn on operator E by right-clicking on it, and when I click on the lighter box between E and F and drag that upwards, I can modulate the frequency of operator F with operator E. So when I play this and then turn up the level of operator E and I feed that into F, I already get more vowel type character. So what I then can do is go to E, and I'm gonna do the same thing as I did with Operator. I'm gonna change this to a triangle wave. And what that does is it's actually creating a peak in our signal. As you can see, that peak is right here. And what I now want to do is I want to create another peak that is about roughly in this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take operator D and I'm going to feed that into F as well. A little bit less, maybe. And I'm going to set D to a triangle wave as well. Now when I bring up the ratio, we can start seeing some different things happening. Let's set the ratio to something even higher. So right now, when I turn this, you can see that there is some peaks going on. It is definitely doing something that I need. Let's see. Okay, so feeding operator D into operator E definitely creates some interesting stuff. That definitely sounds great. What I now like to do is turn on operator C, and this one is set to a sine wave, and I'm not going to change the pitch of this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed that into, let's feed it into E, see what happens. Okay, let's see what happens when I feed it into D. Let's add some automation to these notes. Let's copy that, paste it on here, that, like that, like that, like that, and so forth. Like this. Because now we can hear the vowel character. And I can play around with this, you know, set this to 0.5. So that sounds pretty decent, and it starts to have that vowel type character. But what I can now do, and that's a really neat trick inside FM8. FM8 also gives you the capabilities to feed an operator back into itself, and by doing that you create a feedback loop. So when you go to the box that's right above an operator, I can drag that up and you can see that we get that arrow. So what happens is operator F is being outputted and then being fed back into itself with a particular amount, and that will significantly change your sound. Listen. If you go too far, it's gonna start turning to noise. So it's not doing that much on F. Let's see what it does on E. And I can see what it does to D, or to C. And next to that, I can also play around with sending, for instance, operator F into D. And by doing that, we're just creating, well, some interesting things. Or I can feed C into F. And now we can always start playing around with sending different operators into some of these. What I can also do is I can invert an operator to see what kind of effect that has. Let's send another operator into F. I'm going to use third formant. And let's set this to 0.5. And I'm going to use E to modulate B. Let's add some feedback to B. And I can use A as well. And on A I could, set it to a triangle maybe. That sounds pretty interesting. What I then like to do is add a EQ8. Boost the lows a little bit. And let's low pass this. What I can then do is add a camel fat, because I just love camel fat. Let's turn on the distortion, add a little bit of tube. Maybe some exciter. And let's add a notch filter. Some resonance. And I'm gonna add the LFO to the notch filter, cutoff position. And I'm gonna use a 1/2 rate. Let's try changing the waveform. Let's see what a ramp up does. Sounds pretty good. I can turn up the resonance a bit. I think that sounds pretty good. Turn down the mix a little bit. And let's see. Add some compression maybe. That sounds pretty decent. So to give it even more vowel character, I can add Sugar Bytes Wow. And in the presets, let's take the vowel comb preset, number 13. I'm gonna turn off the LFO. And I'm gonna add some overdrive. Then I'm gonna turn the mix down. That sounds pretty cool. I then like to add an EQ8. Cut out all the low frequencies. Maybe play around a little bit. Cutting out some of that mid frequencies. And maybe low passing it again. Just to control those super high frequencies. Then I group this in an instrument rack. I then go to my plugin folder and I'm gonna load up FM8 again. And this FM8, let's solo this one. It's already a sub. I want it to be a little bit lower in pitch. So I'm gonna transpose this down. 12 semitones, like that. I don't want any detuning. This sounds about right. On the operator tab, I can, however, also activate operator E with a slightly lower output. And I'm gonna make a ratio of 2, I think. Just 2. Turn on key sync. Let's turn the volume of the second one down a little bit. It's just gonna add a little bit of extra additional harmonics. Let's add my rack called sub bass saturate to this. Add some saturation to that sub. Give it some more weight. Now these two together. Turn them both down a little bit. Turn them down a little bit more. Then I like to add the bass bus rack, which basically just gonna makes everything a lot louder. Add some compression. Not that much. That's about enough. Starting to sound interesting right now. Let's work a little bit more on the main patch. On the master tab, you can see currently I have one voice. If I set this to 2 or 4, the volume is gonna become a little bit louder. So what I can do is I can turn the volume down a bit. But it's also gonna add some detuning. I don't want too much detuning. I'm also gonna add a little bit of that analog. Maybe some digital. That sounds amazing. Now, one of the cool things about this is that when I transpose this up, you get a different kind of vowel tone. It's pretty cool. Now with the sub, I think the sub is a little bit too loud. Let's take it down a little bit. And maybe I need to high pass this a little bit higher. So I'm gonna use the normal high pass. Sounds pretty cool. I think that sounds pretty dope. So there you have it. That's how you create a basic vowel type bass in FM8. Just as with the operator preset, I'm also gonna put the FM8 preset in the VIP section on my website. So that's gonna be available for all VIP members to download. If you have any questions regarding this video or any of the other videos on my channel, then please leave a comment in the comment section below, or come to my website where you can register for an account and you get access to a forum where you can actually talk about music production with a lot of other people and with me. That's pretty cool. I like to talk with people about music, and I hope that more and more people are going to come to my website. I really like making these videos, and as you know, there's going to be much more videos coming up soon. So, yeah, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you back very soon. Peace.